and justice for all.
Okay, first up, approval of the minutes.
I move to approve the minutes of the March 7th, 2018 meeting.
Christie moves.
I second.
We have a second with Mark. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Financial matters, appropriation ordinance number 5.
I'll make a motion to approve appropriation ordinance number 5.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Christie seconds. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Appropriation ordinance number 5 passes. Public comments. Everyone stand in line. Moving on to appointments. Frank Carlson Library Board.
Commissioners, you have in your packet a letter from Denise DeRochefort Reynolds, the director at the Frank Carlson Library, requesting the appointment of H. Maria Gendra and Shane Haug to the library board for 4-year terms beginning May 1st, 2018 and running until April 30th, 2022. You have the addresses there in the memo. I don't think I need to restate those, but would ask for your approval of those appointments this evening.
I would move to reappoint H. Maria Gendra and Shane Hogg to the Frank Carlson Library Board.
I'll second.
I have a motion with Chuck. I have a second with Mark. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. New business, utility vehicle bids.
Hello.
Hello.
I got 2 bids, one from Womack for $21,011.16, and one from Chevy for $21,220. And I recommend going with the Ford for $21,011.16.
I have
Any questions?
I have a question. So the Ford does not have the backup camera, but for $400 more, or I'm sorry, the Ford does not have it, and the Chevy does have it, correct? Have the backup camera. And so I guess we're talking about, what, a couple $100 difference in the bids? Is there any other reason other than, how much?
$208.
Yeah, so other than the price, is there any reason why you want to go with the Ford instead of the
No.
Chevy? Okay. I guess what I'm getting at is, I think from a safety standpoint, the backup camera is a nice thing to have. Also, if they are hooking a trailer or hooking up anything to it, it's a lot easier to see. Therefore, there may be less potential for damage. I don't have a horse in either one of these races, so it makes no difference to me. But I do think for $200, I think the added safety of the Chevy with having the backup camera is probably worth the $200.
It's probably way worth
Yeah.
the $200.
So,
It's
Any,
convenient and, like you said, safety. And it will be used to back up to trailers.
yeah, it's really handy because it shows right down. It shows your hitch and everything, and you can back right up to the stuff.
That's a
Plus,
standard option for Chevy now.
yeah, and plus backing up downtown or anywhere else, it just around a school or anything, I just think it's a lot more safe. That's my opinion.
Any
I agree.
any idea on fuel mileage for either of these vehicles? Or?
They're both V6s. so they're gonna be comparable to each other.
How about warranties?
That I do not know, but I can get back to you.
Well, the only reason I say that, $200 for the camera, I agree with Mark, but if we got a big difference in warranties, then that $200 may not mean much. We may be better off just putting one on the Ford if the warranties were that much different.
Yeah, usually Chevy, they both have usually really good warranties, and I know in the past when we've had things go wrong with them within their warranty dates, they've fixed them, but I don't see anything on these bids about warranties.
Yeah, that'd be my only question.
I think if somebody's got internet here or whatever, I think we could probably get that question answered real quick because they're pretty standard. If somebody would just check it.
Relatively similar to usually
They're-
both
yeah,
brand vehicles.
yeah.
Usually
3 years,
100,000.
3 years, 36,000. Just
It's usually 336, and then
Yeah.
I think 100 for the drivetrain usually.
the only other thing on the Chevy against the Ford that I saw was the Chevy actually had gauges, which I specified in our specs,
Mm-hmm.
where the Ford has lights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
It
think
has
that's,
a tachometer and a speedometer and
Yeah.
a temp gauge.
Yeah, I think gauges are better.
And then the Chevy actually has a full gauge cluster.
Yeah.
Voltage gauge and
Yeah.
temp gauge.
because usually just the lights, basic, might as well say you're screwed when they
Yeah.
come on.
It's too late.
Yeah. So,
They, it appears that they both have the same warranty, a 3-year, 36,000 mile basic and a 5-year, 60,000 mile powertrain.
okay.
And then do I have a motion to disregard your
Sure do.
preference?
It would be one of the
And go with the
first
Chevy.
Chevys that I've never owned a Chevy for the water department.
Yeah.
We haven't bought a Chevy since 1996, this old S10.
What about that little yeah, I was gonna say, what about that little blue beauty you got there?
Since the S10.
Yeah.
I would make a motion to accept the bid from Concordia Chevy Buick for $21,220.
I have a motion on the Chevy. Do I have a second?
I second.
Keaton seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The
Thank
Chevy
you.
is yours. That don't happen very often. You come back and we go with a higher price. I want you to know that.
Thank you.
Next up, federal funds exchange.
Federal fund exchange is where you exchange your federal funds from federal funds to KDOT funds, and it's a 75-25 match. The amount of funds to be exchanged is $63,828.49, and our 75% would be $47,871.37. I listed some stuff on here that, which you'd have to do if you did a federal project. My recommendation is to exchange the federal funds. Have the mayor sign a request to exchange the federal funds and apply for the reimbursement for $47,871.37 at the same time. Is there any questions on that, or you want me to explain more?
No, since you promised me you wouldn't buy rocks with it,
I won't buy no
I
rocks
can-
with it.
I can go with it.
I'll put it in the CI pipe and we'll use it on asphalt or something.
That's kind of like rock.
Yeah.
There's rock in there, so you don't want me using asphalt either.
That's melted rocks.
I'm not, I think this is a nice little game that the state has worked out, but I think that we would end up spending more than the 25%. to meet those federal standards, and so I think that this is gonna give us the most bang for the buck, even though we're leaving 25% of the state. It's not a great deal, but I think it's the best way we can move forward and get things clipped off.
I agree with you. I think it is a sham. Matter of fact, I was figuring this, you give me the money and I'll keep 25%, give it back, and you do whatever you want with it.
Okay, I'll do better than that, I'll
You
do
gotta
it for
get the
20.
federal-
Oh, there, we're down to 20?
You'll get
Right
us
here,
back to
15.
90%.
Probably make a deal.
And, yeah, I agree. I think that we end up spending more and at times, not having the leeway as much as we want to do the areas that we really want to do with the funds. And, you know, it's what we would spend more, you know, there's things out there that do need attention, but I just don't think that, I agree with everybody's comments about it's quite a game, but I think this is the right way to go for flexibility
Yes.
and not committing us to spending more money than we really have right now.
Do we have a motion?
I move to authorize the mayor to sign the request to exchange federal funds in the amount of $63,828.49 and to apply the reimbursement of $47,871.37 using the 18th Street project.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion from Keaton, a second from Chuck. Any further discussion? Just no rocks. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Managers report.
Mayor and Commissioners, I've got just a few things to share with you this evening. You received an email from me yesterday talking about what was happening with the Sunday beer sales consideration. At our last meeting, we indicated that tonight we would have that on the agenda, but those plans have changed in light of information that we received from the county clerk and the way a potential election process would happen. And so we are going to delay that action until August 1st. And all of the CMB and retail liquor sales folks have been notified of that change as well. So that everybody's on the same page there. We've also been talking about a contest for the naming of the walking trail, and we're about to solidify the logistics of that very soon. So we would hope to bring 3 options for potential naming of the walking trail to you at the May 2nd commission meeting and have you select the winner based on that. So we'll be watching for that. Our listening tours are nearing completion. We have one more listening tour to go next Monday at the golf course, and we had 10 folks in attendance Monday evening, so thank you, Sam and Christy, for attending that one, as well as earlier that day at the senior center. I think we're hearing a few different angles on things, but still people want pride in the community and people want to see our community thrive. So that's really good to hear. We also sent out an email to you yesterday about the pool contract, the installation of our slide. We did receive a request from the installer to delay the installation of the slide to the end of April rather than the starting of April as they had indicated. The request to delay it to the last week of April is in line with the contract language, but we do want to get your feel, kind of some consensus, I guess, as to if you'd like us to hold firm to the contract start date that was listed in there, or if you're okay with just going with the general contract language that the project will be started and completed within the month of April. So I'd ask just kind of for a brief discussion right now and just to kind of gain your consensus on how you want us to proceed with them.
I think my problem with that is, and I understand, I don't have a problem. Actually, I don't have a problem with it because it's the same date. The problem I have with it is our window of risk is now narrowed. And therefore, I wouldn't mind doing this and helping them out, but at the same time, things happen. And I think if we do that and narrow that window, that we should be allowed to have a little more money on the penalty side to cover that, which does 2 things. It really encourages them because they're saving money by doing this because they're also going to do another one in May. So I understand that, and I think that should be done. But at the same time, if something would happen on that, they might say, well, something happens, we can pay this fine, but we still make out overall because we don't have to go there and come back. So I would like to see us increase the penalty, allow them to do it, but increase the penalty and say, fine, but now you got to really guarantee if this gets done in time. Otherwise, we're out, who knows?
I like I like where you're coming from with that, Sam. My reservation with that would be that they're not, they technically, I guess, don't even need to ask permission to start this later because it's still within the window of the contract, and since they're not changing the terms of the contract, but rather just giving us a courtesy notification that it's gonna be a little bit later than they originally planned, that there's not really grounds to change the contract because they're not
breaking the contract, they would
It's
still be
within that window.
within that window,
Yeah.
yes.
Compulsory language of that contract is when it's to be done. I believe it says, can or may start on this date and shall be done by this date. So the compulsory language,
Yeah.
when they have to be done is that final date. So, can we go back and say, hey, we want to increase that? You can do anything. Are they gonna say no? Probably. And we can't.
can't compel them to.
Can't compel them to do that. No, we can't change it because we're not changing anything within the agreements. We're not making a material change of the contract, so, I don't think that would, I like the idea because it gives them some incentive to get it done, but with an agreement already signed and on the table, they're probably just gonna tell us, no, we'll get it done by then.
And I think that if we continue to be able to, if they continue, and I don't know if they're a vendor that we would want to use in the future, but there's language in there that holds them accountable to the end date. I think it'd be good to have a good working relationship and said, I don't care if you're going to be here and again in a month, but you got to be here now. I would rather go into this with a good working relationship where we're going to be able to maybe build some good favor and being able to have that moving forward. And since it's still within the window, they're not asking to change that. I want to protect the city first and foremost. It's not my job to make them feel better, but they're not really asking for something that's out of line within the contract that we have.
Anyone else have any thoughts or comments?
I feel comfortable with just, agreeing to what they want to do, as long as they're going to start within the window what the contract says. I mean, I fully understand what Sam is saying, but I agree with Chuck. I think that as long as they start, and it also doesn't hurt to have someone call them and say, look, we're okay with this. There was some reservations with the commissioners on it, just wanting to make sure that we're absolutely going to be done.
Right, and I think we'd already
And I
talked
think,
about.
yeah, you've already
having
put
that.
that on them, so I think we should be fine with that.
Keaton or Christie, you guys have any?
I have
comments,
nothing else to
concerns?
contribute, but I'm in agreement that it sounds like their intent is to have it finished on time, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah, if
and
they were asking to start outside the window, then,
Different
yeah,
conversation.
that's a different,
That is a different
What
conversation.
Sam says is definitely,
And to clarify for Jim and Toby, I know you guys weren't in on the email, but the reason that they're asking to move it is because they have another project in Kansas that they can start at the beginning of May. And so if they're able to come to Kansas and do two projects at once, it helps them to gain efficiency. And so, yeah, if they're within the contract realms, I'm good with having them start there. We will be following up with them probably on a weekly basis at this point in time, just to say, are you still coming? Are you still coming? Because we're going to be ready for them. So we want to make sure that there's no delays on our end.
okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Mark?
Had, continue to get good feedback from our listening tour, and I've really haven't had any negative feedback on it, and anybody bringing anything forward to me. But again, I want to emphasize that in looking at the railroad tracks in town, we said the downtown stuff, but, over on Valley Street and just in general, the railroads need to be put on notice, or however we can do that. And I know it's going to be difficult, but I still think those tracks are just pathetic. They're terrible.
And we have begun some investigation on that on our
Yeah.
Yeah, I've made calls to
Okay.
Kyle Railroad.
Kyle.
Yeah, and left a message with their general on-site and maybe have Ron drive 'em around, show them what needs fixed, which is actually what we did quite a while ago. Maybe the early 2000s, I think, is when they did it.
Yeah.
So I have, and I know my secretary in my office actually knows their HR ladies,
Yeah.
so we should be able to get with, hopefully with somebody there. I left a couple messages with them.
Okay.
So.
Okay, that's all I have.
Have we contacted the BN?
I'm sorry.
Because
Burlington Northern.
Burleson Northern,
Well, I have to determine who's or who's right now, so I have left a message, I have documents that Amy has given me, so I left a message with who the person is at BNSF. I don't know if
Okay.
they're still, with their office, I don't know if that's still that person. I left a message asking for them, and did the same thing with Kyle Railroad, yeah. So, and then what I've got to determine is who's or who's.
because I think that's who came out the last time, was the Burleson Northern.
Well, no, and see, I don't know how Kyle Railroad works. I don't think they're a part of BNSF, but, no, it was actually Kyle Railroad that came out last time.
And did the work.
Just a few years ago. Just a few
Yeah,
years
about
ago.
2 years ago,
Yeah.
yes, yeah, I have some documentation from Larry, and
Mhm.
I think Ron went out with them as well. Okay.
Oh, they
Really,
still
the Larry
haven't.
days that they said they'd do it. Oh, well, I mean, it's only been 2 years. 4 years, 4 years.
Yeah.
Well, I'll bring that up when I talk to him.
Yeah,
too.
there you go.
Thank you, Ray.
You know, I think I enjoyed the opportunity I had to be a part of the listening tour, and appreciated the feedback that we've received since then. I think probably the request and preaching to the choir, but if this makes it out to the land of the interwebs, you know, I think one of the biggest challenges I think we have as a community is how we can be involved in a public-private partnership. I'm hearing a lot of requests about what people want the city to do, and I think that they're fair requests, but I think what really makes change happen is when people step up and do some things on their own in a collaborative effort with the city. And I think one of the biggest successes that we've had is due to a very open dialogue between private citizens and city staff, and collaborating together about, well, we can do this much, if you can do this much, and being able to work in a very collaborative sense. And I think that's probably the message that I would like to invite everyone to be a part of, is that I think it's not, there are certain things that as a city it's our responsibility to do, and those will fall to us. But I think that there are other opportunities where as citizens we can step up and improve our efforts to do what we can to help improve the quality of our community. You know, if you walk by a piece of trash, don't say, well, somebody else needs to pick that up. I can bend over and I can pick that up and drop it in a trash can. And so invite everyone to try to be a part of that. If we want a prettier community, then let's do something to make it a prettier community, not just sit back and kind of wag our fingers at those people who need to do it instead of us. So I think that we've got good opportunities to work with this collaboration, but to emphasize it's going to be a collaboration. It needs to be a collaboration in order to have the success that I think that we're all capable of achieving. So appreciate everyone's input, appreciate everyone participating in that. It's how we can have good feedback and know what we need to work on. So.
Okay,
I've got nothing.
Christie?
I guess I would just echo that it's been interesting to see the results of our listening tour. The biggest crowd that I think we've had was at the Senior Citizen Center, and I think that from the sounds of things, they were also the most appreciative of the city's efforts. So it was reinforcing for me to participate in that. So that's all I've got.
It's also the only tour that offered a meal. Is that correct?
Yes,
Yeah,
that is
it was a good
true.
meal, too.
And it was actually quite good.
So maybe we.
That's how you get big crowds, you feed them. Kind of go along with what Chuck was saying. I think the city, sometimes, you know, you can only lead a horse to water, you can't make him drink. And unfortunately, there's one thing I kind of picked up with the listening city. There's people out there that want to help and want to keep the city clean, but unfortunately, there's also people out there who don't. And one of the things I kind of got from people out there that they feel the city should enforce their ordinance some more. And when you think about it, maybe that's the only way you can get some people you know, pride's one thing, but not everyone has it. And the only way you get those people to turn around is by enforcing ordinances. And maybe that's something we should do. And do a little better job of it. One thing I picked, yesterday I attended the Cloud Corp board meeting. And afterwards, a producer came up to me. And he says, you guys are really making are starting to get some talk in the country. And I said, what are you talking about? He says, even people out in the country are hearing that all of a sudden the city's attitude towards their citizens are changing, and they're going to them and really care about what they're hearing. And he says, that's being talked out in the country. And I thought, you know what? We may not have the biggest crowds that we had hoped, but the people we have had are talking about it, and those people are talking about it. And it's something that it sounds like our citizens appreciate. And I have to thank everyone here, and especially Amy, and for everything they've done to get this thing done. And we got one more. And we're going to go out and play golf tomorrow. I'm going to ask them if they're going to have the bar open for us that night. So that might get some more people coming. Everyone may want to come, and we may have to drink in separate rooms. But
Sorry, Keaton, that one's mine.
Yeah.
but
I could participate as a citizen.
That's all I got. Staff comments.
Brief update on 16th Street water line. The main is laid, and we're waiting for a sample to come back clean tomorrow for coliform, and then we're gonna bore the lines to Subway and the car wash, and hopefully get them hooked up and be done with it. The street's blocked off right now, and that's part of the reason, so.
I want to thank NCK for having that on their broadcast. That's the first time I heard about it. I hate learning stuff by Toby. I mean, that's embarrassing.
I have to take the blame for that. Jeremy came and said, we got this problem. He said, we're going to put out this public service announcement. I said, that's great. And then I forgot to tell the commissioners. So I apologize for that. That one's on me. But Jeremy did a great job getting it out and making sure everybody knew that the road was closed. But we'll get it back up and running as soon as we possibly can.
Hopefully by Friday.
Is there any, how much interruption is there for the businesses there, the car wash and Subway? Nothing?
They're all still accessible from Lincoln Street.
Okay.
And downtown, all the main is in, clear to rods, of course, and they have all but 2 service lines bored for that first block. So they'll be ready to start filling it with water and doing their process before they can hook up and start backfilling.
Any surprises so far with the project downtown now?
No. Yeah.
Sorry, I shouldn't have brought that up.
Thank you.
Mark Matthews, is 85% free through shooter. Oh, looks like you just missed that one.
Yeah, really.
I have something quick to share with you guys. Yesterday, we got some really good news, but nobody's talking about it because it's really confusing. We were named as an opportunity zone for the state of Kansas. So what that essentially is with the last budget that came through, it set up these opportunity zones, which is about $1.5 billion in investment over the next few years. It was a bipartisan effort that's been trying to get pushed for a long time. So what it was created by Sean Parker from Facebook, or Napster. He created Napster and then went on to be president of Facebook. And so it's an investment opportunity for people to take their unrealized capital gains, and then they can invest those in these opportunity zones, which are several tracks in Kansas. They had to pick 70 tracks, and Cloud County got picked as one of them. Now, we had several tracks, not several, we had 3 tracks. We submitted for all of them, but we only get to have one. And so we had to show that there were some economic development projects in the works on all 3 of those tracks. And of course, one of our tracks, we have more projects happening at this point in time. Now, they can use it for economic development investments or real estate investments. So you could see some housing projects or some economic development projects. There's about $2 trillion worth of capital gains, unrealized capital gains sitting on people's books right now. So this gives them an opportunity to roll that over into these funds. And then if they keep it in there for 8 years, they only have to pay 85% of the taxes. If they keep it in there for 10 years, they don't have to pay the taxes on that investment. So it's a really great way, we are hoping, to stick money into economically distressed areas, which we are one of them. So the tract that we have chosen as a priority is actually take 81 Highway and everything east of there, all the way through where the old ethanol plant will be. So that road actually cuts it off. So it includes all of that and all of the industrial park. So pretty sweet. We're not quite sure what that will mean. We hope that means people will invest in these areas and not just kind of the outskirts of the metros, but the intent is that they invest in areas like ours.
It's great news.
It is.
Great news.
So have you told Tyson yet?
I have no comment. Any other questions for me?
I think it's a great opportunity. I think it will be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah.
But I think it's better than what was there before.
Totally.
One more tool for us.
Yes, yes.
Yep.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thanks.
Okay, no more comments? And then I need a motion to go into executive session for consulting with the attorney for information deemed privileged in the county attorney-client relations exceptions, KSA 75-4319, B2, with Amy Lang, just in attendance to reconvene in the city commission chamber in, how many? At 6:22.
I second.
Any further discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. No action was taken.
Make a motion to adjourn for a study session?
Second.
All in favor, say
Aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Adjourned.